So normally the meaning of applicable financial reporting framework is very simple. That was the guidelines based upon which an entity prepares its set of financial statements. But why it becomes so important in our subject? Everyone stays focused on the discussion now. The normal meaning of applicable financial reporting framework, that was the guidelines based upon which management and those charged with governance. I hope you know the meaning of the word management, TCWG. Now, management and TCWG, normally in small entities, you will find that the same person is managing and also giving the directions. TCWG is the authority who gives directions, the top level authority. But in case of big companies, you see that the managers are different and the people who direct the entity, like directors and audit committee, they are different. So in some entities you find management and TCWG different. In small entities you may find that they are the same authorities. But that is not the point of my discussion. What I want to say is that the set of guidelines based upon which management and TCWG prepare their financial statements, that is AFRF, but the AFRF of the entity is always dependent upon what is acceptable in view of that nature of that entity. For example, if it's a profit oriented entity, you see balance sheet P&L. If it's NPO, you see income expenditure account and not a profit and loss account, right? Yes, sir. Okay. And then AFRF is highly dictated by what is prescribed by laws and regulations. Where the law is not there, then AFRF is generally what is acceptable in the preparation of their financial statements. So these things decide the AFRF. Sources of AFRF: law, AS, Ind AS, accounting literature. From these areas we understand that what should be the AFRF of that entity. Okay. But as you know that financial statements are of two types. If you're not aware about this, you should know. This is high time that you should know about it. One is general purpose financial statements. Other one is special purpose financial statements. GPFS, general purpose financial statements, are those set of financial statements which are prepared for all users in common. Means whatever you find over there will be the information which is required by majority of the users in common. In fact, the balance sheet, P&L, the final accounts that you have studied is nothing but GPFS. Whereas SPFS, special purpose financial statements, are the set of financial statements which are prepared for some specific users. For example, tomorrow, let us say that a partnership firm wants to apply for a loan from a bank, and the bank gives the directions that we need to see your financials and this information in your financial statements. So please prepare the financial statements in this format and submit it to us so that we can decide whether to sanction the loan or not. This is a simple example of special purpose financial statements, because these financial statements will be prepared as per the needs of that bank. Students, when we discuss audit subject and standards on auditing, that is the 35 essays in your syllabus, remember one thing, we are always discussing audit of GPFS. The statutory audit and stuff that you do, that is audit of GPFS, general purpose financial statements. Whereas audit of SPFS, that is special purpose financial statement, is a completely different discussion, which is there in the 800 series of standards, which is not there in your syllabus. Okay. So let us stick to our discussion of GPFS, which is prepared, the final accounts that you prepare to serve common information needs of majority of the users. Now, general purpose financial statements that are prepared. In the preparation of GPFS also, there are two different types of frameworks. Now, every final year student needs to focus over here. This is a very sensitive discussion. But I just don't want to read it from here. Let me just take an example. Forget about this page. Don't look at this page. Let me just take an example. Company final accounts, which are prepared based upon Schedule 3 of Companies Act 2013 and accounting standards, or Ind AS as applicable. Now, company final accounts mein, whatever is given under Schedule 3 and AS, Ind AS, all those disclosures, we want management to provide it. But can I say additionally, if we find something material important, we ask management that, hello, please give this additional note in your notes to accounts. Hello, please write this in your notes to accounts. Please write XYZ in your notes to accounts. Please explain this so that users can understand this particular point in a better manner. Not necessary that these disclosures would be there as mandatory disclosures, but still we ask them to provide those disclosures. Why? because we want financial statements to achieve fair presentation. Correct? In Schedule 3 of Companies Act also there is this line given that whatever disclosures given under Schedule 3 are minimum disclosures. Management has an additional responsibility to provide additional disclosures in order to explain the effect of the material transactions. This responsibility is there on the management, and that is why we can ask management to provide additional disclosures beyond what is prescribed in the framework, so that the financial statements can achieve fair presentation. In fact, let me go one step further in this concept. Let us talk about events occurring after balance sheet date. So we consider the events up to the date of signing by the management, approval of the financial statements by the management. Whether you are into AS4 or into AS10, this is the basic concept. So let us say that management called a board meeting, they signed the financial statements, and on the next day after signing, we found that there is an event which has occurred. And we think that this should be adjusted in the final accounts which were just signed yesterday. Let us say that these financial statements are yet to be issued to third party. And it is very much practically possible to again call a board meeting and sign these financial statements. Will you ask management to amend the accounts and include that particular adjustment? Yes or a no, both answers could be correct over here. But see, accounting standards, they take us to the point of the date of approval of the financial statements, but we might decide to depart and do something different than what is given over there, to do something extra than what is given over there, to achieve fair presentation, to achieve fair presentation. And that is exactly why Schedule 3 of Companies Act 2013 read with accounting standards and Ind AS. When you look at these things together, it is not just a regulatory framework. It is a framework which also focuses on fair presentation. So whenever you are auditing any company or any entity, you should analyze whether the framework prescribed for this entity is just a regulatory framework, or there is an additional responsibility on the management to provide additional disclosures beyond what is required by the framework, or does the guideline allow management to do something different in exceptional circumstances in order to achieve fair presentation? Such kind of frameworks are not just regulatory. These frameworks also focus on fair presentation. And that is why Schedule 3 of Companies Act 2013, read with accounting standards and Ind AS, is not just a regulatory framework, it is a fair presentation framework. Means whatever is given under that framework, that needs to be done. Additionally, two things. Either there is an additional responsibility on the management to provide additional disclosures, or the framework does allow management to do something different than what is given over there. Not a violation, but just to do something different what is given over there in order to achieve more better fair presentation. Correct? And that is why when we conduct audit of financial statements of the companies, in the audit report, we use the word true and fair view, because these financial statements were not just prepared as per the regulatory framework, but these financial statements have ensured fair presentation also. And that is why such kind of frameworks are called as fair presentation framework. Imagine you are conducting audit of financial statements of a cooperative society. You know what? In case of cooperative societies which are registered in Maharashtra or in some state-based cooperative societies act like Gujarat Act or Maharashtra Act, these cooperative societies need to prepare financial statements as per the format prescribed by the registrar of the cooperative societies. If the financial statements are prepared as per that format, that's it. There is no other additional requirement or additional responsibility on the management to provide additional disclosures beyond what is required by the framework. Neither these frameworks allow management to do something different in order to achieve fair presentation. That is why these frameworks are only regulatory frameworks. What is given over here, just do it, that's it. No other additional responsibility to provide additional disclosures, no other requirements or allowances to do something different than what is given in the framework to achieve fair presentation. No, these things are not given over there. That is why when you are conducting audit of financial statements of such state-based cooperative societies, mostly the frameworks over there are compliance framework. Means whatever has been prescribed, just do it, that's it. Nothing more than that is required. So students, there are two broad categories of applicable financial reporting framework based upon which management prepares its general purpose financial statements. One is fair presentation framework and the other one is compliance framework. How this will affect the auditor, just give me 5 minutes, but first let us understand the meaning over here. Fair presentation framework. A financial reporting framework that requires compliance. Of course, Schedule 3 and accounting standards, they also require compliance. That boss, whatever disclosures are given over here, please give those disclosures. All right. So, Schedule 3 plus accounting standards Ind AS, of course, they require compliance. But in addition to that, plus and in Schedule 3 and accounting standards Ind AS, clearly they have acknowledged, means they have mentioned this, that directly or indirectly, that it is necessary for the management to provide additional disclosures beyond those required by the framework. Or when you read Schedule 3 AS Ind AS, you will realize that management can do something different from what is given in the frameworks in certain cases in order to achieve fair presentation. Like for example, in Companies Act Schedule 2, there is a depreciation schedule given over there. There is a useful life mentioned over there. Management can decide that the useful life is different than what is given in that particular schedule if they have valid reasons to do so, in order to achieve fair presentation, in order to show the real picture of what actually it is. So, or such kind of frameworks, they in rare circumstances, it may be necessary to depart from a requirement of the framework to achieve fair presentation. That means management may adopt a different accounting than what is prescribed in the framework. A little bit different accounting than what is prescribed in the framework. This happens in very rare situations. This is not a violation. Do you understand the difference between violation and departure? When I use the word departure, means I am doing something different, but that is in order to achieve the purpose and not to violate anything over here. So in Schedule 3 accounting standards Ind AS, although there are mandatory disclosures, mandatory accounting treatments to be followed, but additionally there is a responsibility on the management to provide additional disclosures, or in rare situations management is allowed to do something different, to depart from the requirement in order to achieve fair presentation. In such audit reports, in audit of financial statements of these entities, we can use the phrase true and fair view. There is a big misconception amongst the students that in all audit reports of the financial statements we use the word true and fair view. No. What happens is that on Google or Practical Life, you are dealing with audit of corporate entities. In corporate entities, financial statements are not just prepared as per regulatory framework, but additional disclosures are also given to achieve fair presentation. And that is why normally what you have seen in audit report is that auditor uses the word true and fair view while expressing his opinion. But that's not the case every time. In case of compliance frameworks, what is compliance framework? Just do what is given in the framework, that's it. Financial reporting framework that requires compliance with the framework. That's it. And these things, these acknowledgements are not there in the framework. Means there is no requirement for the management to provide additional disclosures, or even in rare circumstances, management is not allowed to do something different than what is given in that framework. So these acknowledgements are not prescribed in such compliance framework. In audit, you have to understand the meaning of the words as given in essays. Otherwise, you will say that a qualified opinion is an opinion issued by a qualified person. Correct? So you have to understand the words given in the right context. So from here on, whenever I say that in this question the financial statements have been prepared as per compliance framework, means only the regulatory framework was followed. There was no additional responsibility on the management to provide additional disclosures. Neither the management was allowed to do something different than what is given in the framework. To no departures were allowed over here to achieve fair presentation. These things are not just mentioned in that framework. You know what, when you're conducting audit of financial statements which are prepared under compliance framework, in such audit of financial statements, you are not allowed to use the phrase true and fair view. I'll be talking about this when I take in detail the discussion of audit report, but I'm just creating the base for that. You are not allowed to use the word true and fair view in such frameworks unless the law requires you to use it, correct? Because tomorrow if Maharashtra Cooperative Society Act says that in your report you should use the word true and fair view, then let me tell you, in any discussion across standards and auditing, law will always prevail over standards. So whatever I say, there is always an exception unless otherwise specified by law and regulation. So you're not allowed to use the word true and fair view when you're conducting audit under compliance framework. Let me be very clear about it. That is the big impact of this discussion on audit subject. So everyone over here, when you are conducting audit of financial statements of an entity prepared under a fair presentation framework, because the financial statements are prepared not only as per the regulatory disclosures but also to achieve fair presentation, we can use the phrase true and fair view. But that's not the case in case of compliance framework. Compliance framework, normally we don't see this in practical life. But if you're conducting audit of cooperative societies, state-based cooperative societies, because there is a Central Cooperative Society Act also over there, nicely like corporates, they have prescribed the requirements of accounting. But in some state-based cooperative societies act, because states are allowed to follow their own act, these requirements are not there. So there is a compliance framework. I hope I'm clear with this concept. All right, yes, give me a confirmation, come on. Yeah, so never forget this concept of fair presentation framework and compliance framework. It will have a lot of impact on our subject. Okay, yes.